Convo Fango. Today, we are joined by the writers, the directors, the stars of the beta test, Jim Cummings and PJ McCabe. All
All
right.
right. Thank you for
Hey,
having
guys.
us.
Hello.
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Of course.
So you guys really did it all on this film.
Yeah, too much, I think. Next time, it almost killed us. Next time we won't be doing everything, I promise.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Question for you guys. First question. I got this invitation in the mail. Should I
No, you did
RSVP
not.
with a
Can I see it?
yes? With a
Can I
no?
see it? So I
Whoa.
haven't seen the actual printout, but it's supposed to look exactly like the envelope. Yeah, it does. That's not too bad. That is not
That's
too
cool.
bad. Really
Pretty
Okay,
cool.
nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
If you get a purple letter in the
Also-
mail, run.
Yeah.
Or like immediately burn it with fire. Do not do that.
Okay.
It's spam.
Well, I'm just holding it in my hand, so I guess I will go and burn this because
Yes.
Yeah, just
Awesome.
don't follow up with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the beta test is a documentary. Yeah, don't
Yeah,
follow
right.
up with that.
I was tempted, I gotta say. So for I guess for the real first question, tell us a little bit about the beta test, what it's about, without spoiling.
Sure. So the beta test is about a Hollywood agent that gets a letter in the mail inviting him to a no strings attached sexual encounter in a hotel room. And he goes, and it's amazing. But then he never gets another letter. And then the rest of the movie is him going down this kind of comic, violent rabbit hole, trying to find out who sent the letter and who this woman was that he was with in the hotel room. And it's very funny and it's very scary and graphic at times, especially the opening. But at the end of the day, I think it's pretty fulfilling and poignant about Hollywood and dishonesty and lying and cheating.
Very nice. that was
Very
tight.
good.
It was good.
Have you guys,
Okay.
have you
That
guys,
was very
have you guys
good.
done this
He's-
before?
Well,
Once or
yeah,
twice?
it's a little different every time. But then it's funny where like when you're doing it, you're like, actually, what the hell is this movie about? It's very difficult
Yeah,
to explain.
I
you
know. Halfway through, every time we do like the summary, I'm just like, what the heck did we write?
It's like, well, it
Like, what
starts
were-
with a Swedish murder, and then you're like, I don't know how to explain it. You know?
It's like someone's messing with you, telling the plot of like a made up movie. Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah.
That's how the best movies come across, though. I feel like my
Yeah.
favorite movies,
Yeah.
it's like if somebody if an alien came to this planet and then you're describing the plot, like all of my favorite movies are the ones that sound like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, those are the
Yeah.
best ones.
Yeah.
Kubrick said that. Stanley Kubrick said that if you can describe one of his movies in like a single sentence, he's done a terrible job. And I think that's true.
Yeah.
Which is like the opposite of what they teach you in like film
Yeah.
school and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Have a,
I mean, every
have a
time we're-
concise log line. Yeah.
Yeah.
like a
It's
real-
always
yeah.
this meets that. It's always, but then for us, it doesn't make any sense. We're just like, oh, we're doing like 50 Shades of Grey as a comedy, and it's like that. No, that's
Yeah.
not going to work.
with like a detective noir engine.
Uh-huh. Yes, yes.
Yeah. About digital data and dishonesty.
in Hollywood, ridiculous.
just
Yeah, it
Picking
wouldn't
stuff
work.
out of a hat. Yeah. But hey,
But it
made it
works.
work.
It
Thank
absolutely
you.
works.
Okay, good. Great.
What was your inspiration for this? Like the inception, the kernel of this story?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was just this simple letter service. We were trying to make like a super small budget movie, similar to like The Gift or something, where a guy gets
Mhm.
a letter, or like Cachet, the Michael Haneke film, and it's like the guy would get this letter, and it would derail his life, and it would just be this cautionary tale about why you shouldn't do this stuff, and like
Mhm.
the grass isn't always greener. You should be happy with what you've got, that kind of stuff. And so it was something that we were like, oh, we could just shoot this in our apartment buildings. This could just be this kind of like fun. We made this slasher film called 13 Cameras in 2014. And I was like, oh, let's just try and get back to that. Let's try and like, make a summer camp little movie. And then it ballooned out of proportion. It was like the movie then ended up becoming this much bigger thing. And it's better for it. But yeah, in the beginning, it was just that simple idea of incorporating sex and violence and making movies for perverts, basically. And then it became a much bigger movie for perverts.
Which is why I like it, I guess. You made a movie
Good.
for perverts, and I'm like,
Good.
thanks, guys. I'm here for
I love that we
Yeah.
say that, and then the audience is just like offended. And it's like, no, we all know. We know what we're doing
Yeah.
here.
we
Like,
you know you're a little pervert.
no.
Yeah. We're here for you, perverts. We got you. Yeah. We didn't forget
Making a
about
movie
you,
for
perverts.
perverts.
That's right.
That's just got to be like the log line for your like production company, movies for
Movies
perverts.
for perverts.
Movies
Yeah.
for perverts.
But PJ said that we're trying to like think of another production company. It was just like adult films, or it's films for adults. And I thought that was funny.
And not understanding why
Yeah.
people
When
were
people
looking
would
at
say
me
like,
strange.
wait, you realize that was, oh no, what are you talking about?
What do you
Like,
mean? It's not kid movies.
Yeah.
They're adults for movies. We don't make.
You're gonna get a lot of angry letters.
I thought that was
Yeah.
funny. I thought that was funny.
I'm here for it. I just know that you would get a lot of hate mail. Like, this is not what I signed up for. What do you mean? It says it exactly in the name. What you're getting into.
I love the idea that in your world it wouldn't be like the Christian mob that's coming after us. It's people who are looking for adult films who are like, I was lied to.
Yes, that's who, in my mind, that's who the angry mob coming after you. This is not what I was promised.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh man. So there's a lot of it's a different kind of horror. Like there are horror elements in this for sure. And it's like the kind, like you said, that just derails your life. Like, what's more horrific than thinking about losing everything that you've built your life to be?
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of the crux of the movie, where like all of this stuff that was happening and these like landscape shifts that were happening in Hollywood at the time, it was so tragic for these people who had built their entire lives on this status quo of like having seen Entourage in college. And then they're thinking, oh, this is going to be how the industry is forever. And I get to wear these outfits and try and be cool, and people will think I'm cool and I'll make money. And that changed very quickly with the internet becoming as big as it has and connecting people. And so, yeah, there's something funny about my last few movies just being about watching somebody have a nervous breakdown. And it's really funny and really sad. But it was important to us. It was like, yeah, this is a document of what the industry feels like, where the buildings are collapsing and people are dying, and there's real stakes and violence, and it was making us laugh. So yeah, I don't know. It like although on its surface level it is kind of like an out and out horror comedy, it is very true to what the feeling of being an agent was in 2019 and 2020.
Yeah, I think the scares are more just the overall sense of uneasiness of the industry, and how people's worlds could be derailed by something as simple as a letter service based on compiling your data, which anyone could technically do. I mean, we had someone build the actual algorithm for the program. I mean, so these things are feasible. I don't know. I'd be curious to see it actually applied. I don't know how many people would be getting brutally murdered, but probably at least a few.
A lot.
Yeah.
There's a good chunk, I would think.
Yeah.
Even
I'm
just
looking at my
social
fiance
media
right now. I'm thinking, yeah, she's murdered.
She's murdered. And she has just the knife in her hand, just looking you dead in the eyes.
Yeah. That sounds like her.
Yeah,
No,
that's true.
Nailed it.
She's lovely.
Speaking of the brutality of it, this has one of the most brutal, chilling kills. It opens with one of the most brutal, chilling kills I've ever seen. But I think, and I mean, I watch shit where people's heads explode, and I love it, and that's great. But something about this like shook me to my core, and I was so uneasy. But it's like, it was the brutality in the calm of it. It was so calm and soft, and just the way it was executed that I felt like I wanted to like throw up or something. And that rarely happens.
I'm so
to
sorry.
me.
So
I'm really glad you said that. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm happy to hear you say that.
You're not sorry at all. Sorry, not sorry.
It's a weird thing.
Perfect.
So the film opens with this Swedish couple, and played by Malin Barr and Christian Hilborg, who are a real couple in real life, and they're good friends. They're lovely as can be, the nicest people on the planet. And so PJ and I, when we're watching the scene of these like people murdering each other, we're just laughing, being like, oh my God, these like super nice people are doing this. It's really funny. But yeah, the way that scene is structured, it feels like Touch of Evil or something, where she makes a phone call to the cops and is like, hey, there's this domestic violence thing that's happening in this apartment. And then she goes down to have dinner with her husband, and the audience is just like, when is the violence going to come in? It's like a ticking clock. And then he stabs her in the neck with a knife, and it's incredibly jarring because of how casual it is. It's just this quick move up. And the way that we did it was a bit of sleight of hand magic, where they're speaking in Swedish, so the subtitle is covering the knife, and right when the knife, like the subtitle disappears, the knife is coming up. So the audience is already reading the line, and their eyes are at the right part of the screen. And then when it comes up, it's like, oh my God. And it's so fun to watch it with a crowd, because they just gasp. There's a huge collective terror that happens in the cinema, and it's just PJ and I are just laughing the whole time, just like, we got him. This is great.
I think there's such like a realness to it. I mean, luckily have never had a partner stab me in the throat, but I imagine like something like that, that's how it would happen. Like it's just such a calm, and then it just is that, and it's within an instant, everything has changed, and it's terrifying.
Yeah. And we had all these conversations with the VFX team as well, because like it's never the color of blood from Sleepy Hollow. It's never the bright red stuff. And in that lighting scenario, it would look black. And so like when the stabbing happens and you just see this like black stuff coming out of her neck, it's just like, oh, that looks real. Like that is fucking awful looking. And so, we tried to make the opening as graphic as possible, just to kind of keep the audience on their toes for the rest of the movie. And there's a couple other murder scenes in the movie, and it's pretty graphic too. But that was just like, let's go full Dario Argento, David Fincher for the opening of this movie, because it's a comedy. That's how every comedy should open, I guess.
Yeah. I just know that the stakes are this high and anything is possible for these characters. Like anyone could go down at any second.
Absolutely. Yeah, because then the rest of the thing, I'm like, yeah, I'm laughing and it's a comedy and this is fun, a dark comedy, but also I'm like, this bitch just bled out at the dining room table and then other horrible things happen. So I'm like, I don't know, like I never had my footing, I never trusted you.
Okay, good.
Good. Yeah, you shouldn't.
Good.
You shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't trust these fuckers one bit.
After that, I love that.
Not.
There was an early Letterboxd review, and I think it was at Tribeca, and somebody watched the film and they said, I almost walked out after the opening scene. It was so gratuitous. It was so insane, the violence. And then they talked about the rest of the movie. And I'm like, yeah, but you didn't walk out. You watched the rest of the movie, you fucker. We got you. It's really funny. But like, it is, I don't know. I think it's fine. Like you see Suspiria, you see like Frenzy. There's like 1,000 movies that came out in the 1960s and 70s that are so much crazier, that were celebrated around the world. It's like, it's just a sign to me that the majority of the movies that we see right now are just so sanitized for audiences. And it's like, no, I want to see some crazy shit. That's why, it's why I paid for parking to come into the cinema,
I love that. And to me, it didn't feel gratuitous. It was crazy, but it wasn't gratuitous. But like I said, I watch stuff where people's heads are exploding and it's very over the top. So there was something about the realism of that scene and just the way that it was unfolding between the two of them that just felt so like, oh, like I feel like disgusting, like and terrifying.
The stab is so chillingly calm. It's just like so certain but so subtly done, and it is very unsettling.
Keeps getting her. It's just with that knife. It was so fun. It was so much fun. Like I hate like it's weird to say. It's like after you watch the movie, like how can you find that funny? But like on the set with this like loving couple, like just started dating, and they're like, he's like stabbing her and being really mean, and it was just really. And like to watch it now, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe we pulled this off. Like I cannot believe it. She has no business looking this good. And and it does. It's funny.
Well, that is fun though, too. I mean, when you create something like that and the behind the scenes of it and things, and then you see an audience react to it, that's like the most fun thing that there is.
Yeah, it's like it's the same experience that we have in like telling a good joke. Like a punchline is just as equally fulfilling to our dopamine receptors as this graphic violence, because it's like it is getting an auditory sound out of the audience. The magic trick works, it doesn't matter what the emotion is you're getting from the crowd, so long as the craftsmanship that you planned months in advance and did all this work to nail is working. It's so fulfilling.
And you don't know that until you're sitting next to audience members. You're in the audience and you're like, I think we pulled it off. I hope we pulled it off. We did it to the best as we could. We saw it on big screen. It looks okay. But you don't know until you're sitting with those people. And then you hear the,
Yeah. There was a really dope moment. I was in Deauville, and there was this old French, these two women, they were like, in their 60s, and they're sitting right next to me. And there's a point in the movie where this wife comes out and just smokes her husband, just like shoots him a whole bunch, way too many times, with a pistol. And it's intense and funny. And this one of the older women, after the scene gets quiet, after the gunshots, leans over to the other one right next to my ear and says, "America," and then goes back to watching the movie. And I was kind of like, yeah, that's poignant. That's
can't really say anything to that. Yeah. There you go.
I wish that woman had a letterbox. I mean, I'm being presumptuous, assuming that she doesn't. You said an older woman, but I just the letterbox of you just that America,
one review.
Period.
America. Yeah.
Put that on the poster. That's the pull quote. America.
Right. Well, that was one of the best lines in the movie. There's a moment in it where I come out and I scream at my assistant. I'm a Hollywood agent. And I scream at my assistant really hardcore, and it's graphic and awful. And then I go into my office, and the assistant is like petrified and fluttery. And then she looks over at another assistant who is shredding documents, and the assistant looks up at her and says, Hollywood, and goes back to shredding the documents. And the fact that we could just condense that whole town into one word about a boss screaming at their assistant. It's like, yeah, that's what Hollywood is. That's what everybody knows about Hollywood. And it's amazing to be able to have that word economy for a joke of just one word that describes the previous 5 minutes is amazing.
Also, that's so fucked. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, we just accept that's what are you gonna do? We shrug, that's what it is, but it doesn't have to be that.
No, and that's the point. Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. Yeah. And it's crazy that has become like, it's not Gene Kelly dancing and singing in the rain that we know about Hollywood. Now it's like, that is Hollywood. We all know that to Hollywood someone means to have been a dick or cancel plans or whatever. And it feels really good to be able to add these definitions and change the etymology of these words. It's great.
Yes.
Yeah, showing a side of LA and Hollywood that is like the opposite of the glitz and glam, and just kind of sad and cheesy and lame. And I don't know. I feel like that's funny.
It is, though. I mean, in like this very dark, awful kind of way, but it's entertaining and it's funny because it's like, well, there is a lot of that, you know.
You say it's true.
Yeah, it's reality. Yeah.
Also, you were such a terrible dick in this, but it's like I like you because I'm like, oh, I'm like such a fan of Jim Cummings, you know, and then to watch you just be fucking awful, and I'm like, but then you like great? Flip and you're like, oh god, I'm so sorry, but it's like, oh, that makes me like you're even worse because it's like, you know, but you're terrible.
Isn't that great? It's funny where like so many people will watch the movie having seen Thunder Road, where my main character is like has a heart of gold, and they're like, oh, Jordan, who is relatively, you know, irredeemable at times, they're still like, oh, he might be that guy. He might still be that cop in Austin, Texas. I don't know. It's really funny what we were able to get away with. But then also Jordan, like, it's not American Psycho. He's not a sociopath. He's this like idiot pretending to be someone that he's not. So that by the end of the film, when he like admits to all of the lying, it's very fulfilling for the audience to be like, oh, thank God. I was clocking each of these lies. And now that he's admitting to them in quick succession, it feels very fulfilling. It feels cathartic, finally, that the character is actually not a complete asshole.
Yes. And it's done in such a fun way too, you know, but the delivery of that is really fun.
Yes. Just summarizing every ridiculous lie he had over the course of his journey.
I just want it to be the early 2000s. I fucking hate the internet. It's the funniest way to end a monologue. Yeah.
Everything that has wronged this guy and got him to this point.
Right. Yeah.
Summed up. Yeah. It was
like half expecting like a scroll, the list of grievances, and it's just like a scroll that like unfurls through the parking garage.
We wanted that to be that. PJ, when we were writing it, was like, this is an exorcism. This is like, we should do it like an exorcism movie where someone is getting this like black bile out of their system, these lies, this dishonesty. And he was like, what if we just did that? What if the performance was just this insane, like manic, spooky horror movie performance? And it was working in the rehearsal. And I was like, fuck it. This might be goofy, but let's just do it. Let's go for it. It's a horror movie.
Yeah.
I love that. Good call, PJ. No, because it really is like, it's like choking on your own bile at times. You know what I mean? Like choking down a lie. Another lie comes out and you're like, oh, that's not really the truth. And it's like, we were
thinking about that. We wanted to have him like cough up black liquid at the end of that sequence. It's like as if this like Hollywood had like gotten inside of him and he had to get it out. And I was like, no, that's too surreal.
Too supernatural. There was talk of making it actually
like motor oil.
I love it.
They're like, that's gonna be a weird supernatural turn at the very end. I don't know.
Just puke black and then pass out. And then
I mean, because he has like because we talk about his ulcer and his teeth are rotting and he's like dying it's eating at him from the inside. So like it is like maybe something really is like physically wrong with him and he's got to puke it up. I don't know. It's just ridiculous watching him fall apart. And,
I love that. But I get why you probably had to opt out of that, because then at the end, like that's the very last thing the audience is just like, wait. What now?
I think it would have taken away from the monologue and the great performance.
Bridge too far.
Of it.
Well, because then the main thing is, what the fuck? Like, was he this? Was he this? You know, and then that's what people are left with as the final.
And they're not talking about the letters, and they're not talking about what's important. They're talking
there's already
about,
enough stuff going on of like, is his fiance pregnant? Like, wait, what's going on here? Like, there's already enough subtlety in that ending. We shouldn't have. I'm glad that we didn't.
You're totally gonna miss it if you add something like that. That nobody's gonna care about the letter stuff or anything. You're gonna be like, So he was a demon.
Yeah.
So-
you puke up bile,
Yeah.
break the fourth
Yeah.
wall, go straight to camera. I have exorcised the demons. Cut to
Yeah.
black,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah,
how it
yeah,
ends.
Right.
end of film. Applause.
Credits,
Yeah.
applause.
Critical acclaim. Yeah, that's how you
Amazing.
make a movie.
So what is your guys' like writing process like?
It's all out loud. We'll
Mhm.
we'll talk about a movie forever, and then we'll take notes in our phones and then move them to like a Google Doc that then becomes this like chronology of events of what the movie's going to be. And then we sit down with two laptops with a software called Writer Duet, where you can like see the other writer writing stuff
Oh.
in real time. And then we just kind of act out the scenes and write down the movie and play catch up and clean up in the screenplay format. And it's been working for us. It's just a really kind of like cohesive way of making movies. It's unconventional. Like the way that we learned how to make movies was, you like sit quietly in a room and hear the voices in your heads of the characters and then write down what you assume they're going to say rather than acting it out. But it's been working.
Mhm.
Yeah, getting it on its feet, playing the different characters, getting the more natural dialogue, and just the funnier jokes, getting the other
Right.
person to laugh. I mean, you can tell, when you try it 1,000 different ways, the best way to achieve the laughs and get the character to get what they want in the scene. It's just fun.
Yeah, your way sounds way more fun than the locked in a room quietly with your own
Yeah.
demons, hearing the voices.
Yeah. Or like in a Starbucks, like I'll
Yeah.
see people and they're writing in a Starbucks with headphones on. And I just like when I was writing that way, we'd show up on set to shoot the thing. And it was only on set that I realized that the scenes don't work coming out of human vocal cords.
Mhm.
And so like it really was important to us in our formative years to act out the scenes and make sure that they're going to sound good. And then
Right.
that sounding good was a better litmus test as to whether it was going to look good.
Mhm.
And we've just kind of raced at that and kind of ignored anybody saying that that's not real screenwriting because nobody can tell the difference and we're being celebrated
Exactly.
for it.
Right. There you go. Bam. I love it. Last question for you guys. What is your co-directing process like? Like, how do you divvy that up? You're both acting in the movie, so how do you divvy up the directing stuff as well?
I think we both have a really good idea of what the movie is going to be. Obviously, we both speak the same language of the movie and we know each punchline, emotional, horrific, comedic, dramatic. And so when we show up on set, we're really just trying to execute the script that we co-directed, like because it's all out loud in the writing process and we record it as a podcast as well, where I put in music and sound design before we show up on set. We all know what the movie's going to sound like because we sent out this podcast version of it. And then it just becomes our job to execute that, to kind of be executors of the podcast in video form. And that becomes the movie. So there are times like PJ and I are on set and it's just us laughing about like how far we push a certain moment, or like if PJ's acting in a scene, he's only in 4 or 5 of them and I'm in the whole fucking thing. So much of it is PJ saying to me, give me another one like this, or like, is there like, let's see if we can like shift this, or like turn your head a little bit more this way. There's 1,000 little things that is directing the movie, but really we're just laughing the whole time and making sure that, and rushing, like we're sprinting and laughing at the same time. That's what it's like.
Yeah, it's just really making sure we execute what we had already rehearsed 1,000 times and just making sure everything now is working on the day where we are and that we're not missing anything. And yeah, just making sure we're laughing and having as much fun as we did when we wrote it in the shooting process.
I love that. You guys bring a lot of joy to your work and that makes me really happy. And also I feel like a lot of your process is kind of like, if you're like stripped it down to describe it, it's like you're just trying to make your best friend laugh, So
Yeah,
that's always fun.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
It's that, and then it's also like I think people on the internet are going to find this dope, and it's like this weird like desire to impress the internet and each other. But yeah, that's a good litmus test. That's how it should be. It's not you're not trying to impress the critics. You're trying to impress people that are funny, that are your best friends.
Yeah.
I love to impress the most impressive audiences, which are some like all the Reddit people.
and then only after making movies this way,
all their comments and seeing what people
only
like.
after making movies this way do you realize that the critics have the same sense of humor.
It's
like, I guess we're doing fine.
Which is crazy because genuinely thought this might be kind of a unique taste for some people, but everyone was like, wow, that sounds
Keep doing it. Keep
doing
doing
it.
it.
Killing
man.
it.
So,
Yeah.
Doing
Killing
man.
it.
So,
Killing it.
so
Yeah.
now we're more emboldened, and now we're gonna write even weirder stuff. So that's
Oh,
okay.
hell
You
yes.
guys,
I'm so
you
looking
guys
forward to
asked.
that.
You guys asked for it, so here we go.
Give us all your weird, please.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
it's coming. We will.
Yes.
We will. We're here
All
for you,
right.
perverts.
Hell yeah. Making movies for perverts, making adult films for perverts.
We're here for you adults and you perverts. So stay tuned.
Hell yeah. And on that note, thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us. It was our
This
pleasure.
was
you.
awesome. All right, beta test is now in theaters and on demand, so check it out. If you get a little purple envelope, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, so do what you will if that comes in the mail for you.